Hello, everybody. It's TechStack here. Oh, let's do this. Let's get into what I was just thinking about, which is building the transition over to the forest area. And that transition is going to be across the river. We're going to run this river up in this general direction. And we're going to build a bridge across the river. That'll be how we get to the forest. I like that idea. I'm going to go with that idea. I think that idea will give us a nice transition. Uh-oh. Missed a message? We're back for more. Wait a minute. Andrew, why have I never followed you? I just seen your message on Twitch, and I guess I've never followed. I'm sorry. There. Did you ever stream? Hey, Pineapple. Oh. Okay. Well, you have a follower if you ever do stream. Okay, let's see here. Back for more. So how did Andrew bring you here? You twist your arm? Okay, cool. Hey, Pineapple.
How's it going?
Good.
Well, he actually just said that you're streaming, and that was about it.
Oh, okay.
Because we were in Below the Stones Discord talking.
I see.
Scheming. How to take you down.
Won't be easy.
Take you out of the game.
Pretty stubborn.
We were trying to figure out how to redirect anyone who adds your game to cart to add ours instead.
Wow. That'll be malicious. That all assumes, too, that I'm releasing my game.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and assume it.
I'm going to assume it, too. But if it doesn't happen, it's one way to thwart your plan. The pace I'm going, you have nothing to worry about for a very long time, though.
Very long time?
Mm-hmm. Like 2020 goal. I know when we were talking the other day, you seemed to think I was close to being done, but I don't.
You're like 100 hours away from being done.
No way. I do reskin of all the
Yeah,
sprites. What do you mean by reskin? Like, make them my own? That'd be really hard for me to do.
Wait, are you? I thought I was under the impression that you are going to change the sprites. You're going to release them like that, like from the assets you bought.
Well,
That's really your idea.
I'm now considering maybe not. If you guys are talking like this, you're making me a little worried. Why?
Well,
What?
you know,
Go ahead.
You know,
They look bad?
no. They look good, but they're just not your own, or not exactly what you wanted. But I guess it's fine if you're satisfied with them.
Gotcha.
I was, for me, the most important thing is how it looks, right? So
Which is why I paid for them.
yeah.
Instead of doing them all myself. Because I know how they would look then.
No. Yeah, I wouldn't do them myself either. I can't draw for shit. But well, there you go. I guess the fear is your assets also being in other games.
Yeah, I've
Like that would be
contemplated that a lot, actually.
Using I have the same stuff that like this game does or the other game.
Hey, Lord Smooches, how'd you find your way over here? And are you going to stream tomorrow? Because that's awesome if you are. I will try my best to watch, but no guarantees because you just stream while I'm working. If you got someone to custom make all your sprites and do a reskin, that would be good because people are going to see that those are asset store assets. Some people will recognize that they are asset store assets, yes. You're always watching? But Tuesday, okay, cool. Cool.
Yeah, I don't think the recognizing that they're asset store assets.
Some people will. Like if you're a game dev, you're going to recognize them, right?
They might, but if they're a game dev, they're even more likely to buy it, right? Because like game devs want to support other game devs, right? Who we're concerned about is the non-game dev people. So I guess the only concern would be quality of the sprites, not really whether or not they're
gotcha
store assets or whatever.
And quality-wise, I don't think I can make them any better than what they are quality-wise. Look and feel so that it doesn't feel like a copy of something other game that someone might have downloaded. That would be the reason. And I'm hoping that by the time I'm done, I've built enough other sprites myself that it's unique. So if that makes any sense. Like the desert, for example, that's 100% me.
I just think that perhaps the best the best way to describe my concern would be is that they feel like they're just generic, you know?
Gotcha. There's nothing wrong with having that, right? Like I value the feedback, right? Because I'm new to doing this.
Don't knock them down. Well, I mean, I don't think any adult would be offended by
no, you're not gonna
discussion about concepts, you know.
So Andrew, I am not as lucky as you to have Mike on your side, right?
You could get a mic though.
I could get a mic, but I better be darn sure this is gonna sell if I'm gonna get a mic. You know what I'm saying?
Well, mics aren't that expensive, especially if you just give them all these skins and never reskin it.
You think?
Well, I mean, it depends on what you mean by expensive, right?
Right, but like,
because
there's a lot of sprites here to have to redo.
Yeah.
And yes, Pebble, I'm using Unity 3D, like Andrew was saying. So, because Lord Smooches is here, Lord Smooches, do you know what kind of game I'm building? Have you heard that before? Unity is free if you do not make a bunch of money at it or with it. Once you start making money, then you have to pay for it, which is all understandable.
When you were
Good.
No, I was just thinking about how to phrase it. Money's always such a sensitive thing. When you were saying I'd better make a whole bunch of money if I was going to get my own mic, what in your mind contextually was a whole bunch of money? Like, what was that number?
Oh, I'm saying it better sell, right? Thousands? I better reclaim what I'm gonna put into it is what I was going for, right? Doing this, I put money in this. I know I'm gonna have to put more money in this. I know I'm gonna have to market it. I'm okay if I lose all that, right? That's not gonna bother me. That's like I would spend that much on buying video games myself over the course of time that I'm gonna do this, right? So it's not. I'm not losing anything, right? I'm just switching my time from playing video games to making video games. I'm okay with that. I wouldn't necessarily be okay if I spent, I don't know, several $1,000s paying someone else and it sold 10 copies, right? Because you're never going to get your money back. That's the kind of scale I was talking about.
Mm-hmm. Well, there is a possibility of getting an Andrew or not an Andrew, getting your own mic like their mic, wherein you don't have to pay him, because I don't think Andrew pays him.
Right, but I imagine they're probably profit sharing, right? So
Yeah,
there's that as well.
And you wouldn't be comfortable profit sharing with someone? Is that what you're implying, or you mean it's
No.
hard to find that?
It's hard to find that in someone that would actually stick through it.
Yeah, tell me about it.
Would actually stick through it. I would work well with, and you pay Mike an effort and code. It's a good way to look at it, right? Would actually stick with it and work well together and all that, but also wouldn't be like, I need 80% of the profits or whatever the percentage would be, right? And then it's not worth it for me that way either. Because Steam takes a cut, marketing takes a cut, all that stuff.
That's an interesting scenario that you kind of described. In one scenario wherein you get all the revenue, but let's say you don't make many sales, and you said I'm okay with losing the whatever the amount of money I spend is, because I would have spent it anyways on video games or entertainment in general. But in the scenario wherein you don't get any money from the sales because most of the stuff is given to your version of a mic, how is that different?
Got what you're going for there, I think. Hold on a second, so I answer some questions in the chat. This is personal. Plus and Pro are the paid ones, and you only need to do those, like Andrew said, if you make so much money. Second, Lord Smooches this is a Zelda type. Heavily inspired by Link to the Past, so think of that. So that's why I was asking if you knew what it was, because it's right up your alley. If you guys have not checked out Lord Smooch's Twitch channel, check him out. He is building effectively the original Zelda with what I think are better graphics, and he did make them himself. And he's doing an awesome job at it, and he's already got his store page on Steam. I'll without trying to say too much, he had some stuff come up and he stopped working on it for a while, but I think he's going to come back to working on it this week, he said in his Discord. So you guys should check him out. Like, I know we all like supporting other game devs. He's one to support. Like, he's cool. He's going to have a successful game, I think. As long as he can get it marketed and everything, he'll do good. It looks nice. So anyway, back to what you were saying. So you're saying, could that scenario be the same thing? It could be the same thing, but there's a greater risk of loss in that, right? So it's not just the amount of money that I would normally spend anyway. It's a greater amount of money in that scenario because I'd have to pay someone to do that. If you're talking about profit sharing, then I guess maybe it's not as much.
Well, yeah, I was talking about profit sharing. Like, if you find someone who's willing to go in on profit share alone, and no matter what percent they ask, it would still technically be better than doing it solo, right? Because worst case scenario, you get the same result. In best case scenario, you get way more.
Worst case scenario.
Worst case scenario is you make no money and all the costs you sunk you lose that. In best case scenario, I guess in both scenario, whether you do it alone or with someone doing profit share, you'll make a lot of money, right?
I think
it's just that the second scenario with a profit share artist, you get to make more. You get to make it more your own kind of thing, more bespoke.
Mm-hmm. And I've definitely
super important.
No, I get where you're coming from, because I've ran my brain down this bunny hole already. Where what happens if I make this, and let's say I get 1,000 people that liked it, right, and bought it on Steam. That's a significant number of people that say $10 a pop, right? Yeah. It's not gonna like make me quit my day job. But you're saying that, that kind of thing.
Right, I get what you're saying.
I'm saying there's a chance where like this is gonna be low sales, but low sales with me doing it all, I'm happy. Low sales with 2 people, we're not probably as happy.
Yeah, but low sales with 2 people, if someone's taking profit share, would still be the same risk, at least.
Would it though? Like if it's the same sales either way?
At all. Yeah, well, if you don't have to pay him at all, you're just paying him a part of the thing.
Right, but let's say we still had the same sales. So it was 1,000 sales. I get 50%, they get 50%, or whatever the percentage would be, right?
Yeah. So it'd be as if you get 5,000 sales. But is it possible that it would be the same with an extra person on board? I feel like that's probably unlikely, right?
It depends. It really, really depends on what kind of quality they can do.
Yeah.
I also don't have that person, so or a way of finding that person, right? More importantly.
Well, that's what I've been doing for a couple months and still on the look.
Yeah,
still
see.
looking.
I imagine
we have a few artists, but
telling an artist, "Hey, you'll get paid if we'll get paid," isn't their cup of tea.
Yeah, no one likes that. Even the programmer.
Right.
Nobody likes that revenue share. It's tricky. Revenue share is very tricky to convince people of because they're essentially putting in a ton of hours, and the only way they can do the calculation if it's worth it or not is based on just words. There's no metrics or anything, just faith. The only way they can determine if it's worth doing.
Yeah, Lord Smooches, they might have came out, at least in popular terms, after you started your project. Because I know you've been working on yours for quite a while now. And it's got its pros and cons, I'll put it that way. Like, it's not perfect by any means. There's things like rule tiles that make it pretty good, but then if you have an animated rule tile where you want to randomize what's going in there, that's a pain, because I haven't found a good way of doing it. Maybe I'll have to create my own. Yeah, I kind of like the way you've done yours too. Like having a screen built each time. It seems like it probably has its advantages. Where am I gonna put this road at? So what I'm thinking is this river is kind of like bending around the town here, and this needs to be more curved in and out, obviously. But I want to put a bridge across into the forest that's going to be over here. And either down here or up here is where it should go. I'm not trying to change the topic on this. I'm trying to think this through so I can work while I'm talking about that stuff. Because one of my things about this is I don't have the way to find him. I don't. How did you find Mike? Let's put it that way, right? Did you just stumble on Mike? I guess that's probably the appropriate path to take.
For Andrew?
Yeah, for Andrew. You stumbled on him, okay. And you don't have a artist, right? You have a writer, Pineapple.
We have an artist part-time.
Oh, okay.
For just character stuff.
Cool.
All the other stuff, we're trying to find a second one to do everything else, the tile maps, UI HUD stuff, that kind of stuff, icons. And...
So how did you work it out with your? Are you doing profit share type thing?
Yeah,
if you want to talk about it.
We paid an advance.
Gotcha.
I think we were trying to pay. We had two artists, and we were going to just pay them $500 each as an advance and give them. I can't remember what the profit share was. I think it was 10% each, something like that.
Oh, that's pretty decent for you then.
For them. I don't know. I don't anticipate us getting a lot of sales, to be honest.
No, I mean the percentage wise, that's a pretty good deal for you. Is yeah, I would think so. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the amount of work between programming and art, there's a lot in art, right? Just as like there's a lot in programming.
Yeah. So the art would have been 20% of the profit, the music on the 15%.
Gotcha.
And then whatever's left, split 50-50. So I would end up getting what is that? 20, 35. So 65 split in half, get 32% for doing all the quote-unquote programming. The programming is not as intense for me, is because it's done in, pre-made thing, not like Unity. But still, yeah, it's hard. It's hard to have all the talents necessary. I don't know how those other guys do it. Like the people, like the guy who did Stardew. How did he do all the music, programming, and art for the game? It's pretty remarkable.
Yeah. And that's another thing, like sounds and music.
And then add in some narration and
blank right now.
God forbid having to do voiceovers.
I don't know that I'll have voices. Although
we just have a narrator, we don't have a voice. And for the narrator, we have to pay 5%, but at least no advance.
Gotcha.
Because they don't have to lend a lot of time. We're actually trying to mix our composer and the narrator into one, aka firing the current narrator and getting someone who already makes music to narrate it, because he also sings.
Oh, okay.
But we're still in talks. And talks are really hard to do when you don't have even like a half-done game, because they look at what you have done and they're like, this is, you know,
right.
They don't really even see the possibility of making any money. So that's the thing, we have to make the whole game first and then pitch it to all these people.
Really? That's only 2 wide? Why couldn't it be 3 wide? So I can make it even? Crap.
Damn it. Can't you change the tile? How much of the tile size?
Oh, yeah, but it would
the middle twice over.
Change the whole layer.
Oh.
I could try and edit it in Photoshop, but that's for something like that.
Make it a 4 wide.
Get a 4 wide, like 2 of them side by side, like that.
Yeah. Maybe. It's kind of not ideal.
I mean, it's set up to make it longer, right? I can do this over and over and over again. It just needed that middle tile to extend it on right. Maybe expand the gray ground.
It's kind of weird though, having the two
agree
things side by side.
I think it needs to go 2, and I can just make it 2 from this on. Maybe put that rock there to be like, look, we couldn't move the rock. I mean, it was just arbitrarily chosen to be that wide. It doesn't have to be that wide. The road.
Yeah.
What can I do? So the river and the riverbank here needs to not be on a collision layer so the player can walk through there. Right, that's what I'm thinking, Andrew. I'll make it 2 wide there. Or 2.5 wide, I guess it'd be. So if I go with town's exterior, do this basically.
It's interesting that we're all using the same ballpark figures for our games, because when you said if I sell 1,000 copies, that's the number we've been using as like a placeholder too.
It's
we're gonna sell 1,000 copies, and then like that's every time we talk about how many copies we sell, the number's 1,000.
Gotcha. Right, same thing for what I was going for too. I just pulled that out of my butt as if I could sell 1,000 copies, I'll be tickled, right? I have no goal for this.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a flawed thought, but I don't need to make something off of this. I'm doing this in the hopes that I do, right?
Like, it's not time sensitive, right? Like, you don't need to, if you release the game and you get no sales in the first week, like, that doesn't really matter, because you could still sell 1,000 copies. Like, it's not like the older the game gets, the less likely you are. I mean, technically a little bit, but
yeah, like, I'll say there's a curve to them, right? Whenever the game releases, there's always a bunch of sales, and then it usually drops off from there.
Well, yeah, but you can artificially stimulate it anytime you want with just a little bit of a cash infusion,
Right.
Or just by sending copies. Like, that's why I'm so convinced we can sell like 1,000 copies guaranteed for us, because it is kind of a lot easier, because my full-time, my regular job is selling physical products, e-commerce, and digital products are way easier, like video games.
Right.
You could
so you're a salesman?
Copies kind of, yeah.
That's awesome to be in for what you're trying to do. Get you all the experience in marketing and everything, right?
Yeah, I have bunch of marketing experience, that's for sure. But nothing like what I have planned for this, because I've never had to sell digital products before. And they're much easier because you can send copies to YouTubers, anybody for free. It doesn't cost anything.
Right.
For me to send like stuff to people to review, or for people to have a look at, it costs shipping, it costs the cost of the item, and all that.
And part of where I'm coming with that number is, it's a nice round number, of course, but also I do have a YouTube channel and I've got 750 subscribers, so I can get it out to those people like that it's there and available. Not that all of them will buy it, of course, but it's a possibility. Ela just is OP. Please nerf. No, please don't nerf. That's what we're all going off of, right?
It's nerfing itself every day.
Right.
Facebook ads used to be for a term like, for example, if you just wanted to sell, or let's even Google ads, even better. For a term like, because I'm in the jewelry space, for a term like silver necklace, you used to be able to, well, when Google first launched, you could get it for 1 cent a click, but now it's like $12 a click for that term. So it's nerfing itself. Don't worry about it, Andrew. It's getting
$12 a click in a jewelry space, which I'm assuming is probably pretty high margin, so they can afford it, versus a game that might be $10, right? That the margins there are much. Well, I guess it's a more higher margin, but what I'm saying is like the profit per click is going to be lower. So I would think that the cost per click would be down.
If you just look at gross profit on video games versus jewelry, video games is 100% profit. There's no.
True.
If you get an organic sale, that was 100% profit, whereas like jewelry is still the shipping cost, the cost of the item, whatever, maintaining a website, which you don't even have to do for video games.
Right, but I would think that it's going to be hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars per $12 click that you paid for, versus
no. You get a click is like not a guaranteed sale, right? Just getting them to your product page. So you'll be lucky if 10% of the people you get there buy.
So it's still only $120 per sale then, right?
Yeah, so you have to work in $120 to still be profitable if you sell it. Because for some products, if like the product's retailing for $250 and it costs like $50 to make and distribute, you're only getting $50.
Gotcha. Gosh, with those numbers, it sounds like it's a losing business. So how am I handling loading of the world since it's a tile editor? So they're just Unity scenes. Let me demonstrate. Let me set my main menu. So main menu loads up, and it's just a placeholder main menu for now. Here it is. I hit start. It takes me to the overworld scene. So I'm gonna show you behind the curtain here, because I'm sure you care. I've actually got 2 scenes loaded. My main scene is my always loaded, which has my player character and the camera and some other things on it, right? And wow, went the wrong way there. As I walk around here, I'm gonna load up, go up to my desert scene, and on that collider or trigger, there is a script that runs on Ender that loads another scene, and basically unloads one scene and loads another. But this scene is always maintained as being loaded. This always loaded scene, so that I can persist states like my health and things like that across scenes in Unity. If I go into the dungeon, it's going to load yet another scene.
This includes items that are dropped on the ground?
Your inventory should persist because it's a script on the player.
No, not your inventory, but if the skeleton drops a key and you don't pick it up when you leave the scene.
That's going to do more with how I plan to program out saving and things like that, I think. I think what you're doing, though, you've got a great big overworld that's everywhere, right, Lord Smooches? So if I go look at my exit point script here, it's got the box collider on it, and it's got this load and TP. So once it loads, it's basically doing on trigger enter, we're finding a game object, which is my fade trigger, which is the animation to make it go black, then we're unloading the scene that we've said as the unload scene, right, which is just overworld in this case, and then loading another scene additive, and we're good to go. And then this part sets the teleport destination name, which was defined on that script as well, right here, and just moves the player to that location, because not every world will want you to go to the same thing. So for example, if I go into this house, when you come back out of the house, you should come to the door, not the location that you came from the desert. So I needed a way to be able to say these are the return points basically from a certain thing. And it's just game objects in Unity. It's handling it all. Yeah, the overworld is all loaded in one. Then I load the dungeons the way you're doing it, but I might switch to the way you're doing it. Yeah, the reason I wanted to do it this way is as I was building out this world here, I originally had a bunch of trees which had colliders on them. And those trees, my collider layer has a composite collider turned on, which means if there's a bunch of colliders in the tile map that are next to each other, it's going to try and make them one big collider for performance reasons. But every time I would add another collider to that layer, I would sit there and wait about 10 seconds before I could do anything else, because it was recalculating the collider. And I'm like, okay, if this small of an area is causing that much of a performance degradation in the editor, what's it going to do when I'm actually playing the game if I've got the whole overworld built out? Because there's at least 6 different major areas that I want to have for the overworld. So that was why I did it. Now, I say that, you're seeing it this way. Like, I had a ton of trees all through the screen area, a ton of trees over here, trees up here. They were all over. So there was a lot more for it to do than what there is now, but you get the idea. And I know it was this collider because I did the profiler and also turned off the composite piece and edited it, and it was fast. So just for performance reasons and things like that, memory, all that stuff, I'm keeping it very isolated and broken down. Also, my dungeons are probably going to go to the extreme. And where's my dungeon at? So if I hit F here, there we go. So like, this is one room. Because the rooms are so small, I'm using the Cinemachine camera controller and a collider around the area to say this is where the camera can be. But because this is so small, you have to see the space over here and over here. And I didn't want the player to get a hint what was in the next room, right? By just like going over close to this edge of the wall, and then they can see the next area over here. So a way to avoid that is just make them all separate scenes. As soon as you go through a door, it goes into the next scene. Probably more work for me than I really want to do, but it's gonna prevent that. I know your whole system is much better with camera controls because you've built it all yourself. If you've never seen,
subdividing it is wise for a lot of reasons, right? Performance, but also you can do more flexibility, like visual effects that apply directly to the whole scene or whatever.
Yep. Thank you, Lord Smithers. So the Cinemachine thing I was talking about, this polygon collider, you can see around the whole area, the camera will never leave that area. So if I go to my always loaded scene, which has the camera on it, you see I've got the Cinemachine brain, and down here is a Cinemachine, it's called virtual camera script. And I've added a confiner to it, and basically all you have to do is plug in that 2D collider, and it will never let the camera go outside that collider. So, said a different way, if I play the game again, not from this scene, let's start, and I just go down here. Gosh, I'm like blocking off the whole world. I can't really show this off as easy. Let's go up to the upper right hand corner. As I walk this way, you'll see that the camera doesn't follow me directly. There's a dead space in the middle of the screen. So, Cinemachine, where are you? There we go. So if we go back to the game view, so you see this green area here, and all around here, that's the area where if the player walks into that, it's okay, and the camera is going to slowly catch up to you. If I were to make out to this darker ring, then the camera is going to try and like snap to me to make sure it catches up. And then that no colored area here is dead space where the camera doesn't try and follow immediately. So it makes for a smoother transition on your camera. And you can see the camera stop moving here, and that's because of that collider that I was showing you. The camera's not allowed to move outside that area, but the player can. So I can walk all the way off into infinity right now because I don't have anything stopping the player. And then start coming back.
I've actually been debating between the two systems of having the camera always on the player versus, confining it to its own collision stuff.
Mm-hmm.
The problem I have is like my UI is on the bottom, so if the camera freezes, because the UI is glued to the camera, right? So
yeah,
you get a scenario where the character can walk into the UI. In that case, you have to. I guess
yeah.
the UI off. Because what would happen if you had something in the top left? Like you had that same thing you were showing, but in the top left, would the character overlap with the hearts?
The character probably would go underneath the hearts if I can make it over there. Let's see. So if I just walk to the top, it's going to stop. Top left should do it. Oh, I can't go up enough. Dang. Yeah.
But if you had a bigger UI, like if you had an action bar and hearts and all kinds of other stuff, what would be your way to solve that, or would you just leave it, have the character be able to hide in the UI?
I guess it would depend on the game. And for this game, I would be okay with them going into the UI. If it was something like a multiplayer game and somebody could hide under someone else's UI, that would suck. From a player perspective, I can't do it over there either. Dang it. The other thing you can do is do like I did and make it so it's slightly bigger, so that your UI is not where the player can go. The way I accidentally did it. And you don't, to use the Cinemachine, you don't have to have a collider that confines the camera to a specific area. So if I go to the dungeon, this one, there is no Cinemachine confiner here because the player physically can only walk to the corners of the room. And the colliders for those walls will stop them from going anywhere else. I guess if they glitch through the collider, that'd be one way they could do it, but that's a whole different bug in the game altogether than just the camera.
Do you know yet how you're handling, or I don't know if Unity has something built in, but how you're handling different aspect ratios and resolutions? Like if someone's playing it on an iPad or whatever, size screen versus the thing, is your game always stretching to fit, or is it doing letterbox stuff, or what?
It will stretch to fit basically, and Unity just crashed on me, which is awesome. It'll stretch to fit. That is how it'll do it. You can in the
what about different aspect ratios?
Actual build, it will. You can say the list of what's the word I'm looking for? Resolutions you can use when you go to play it through that. And as far as aspect ratios are concerned, the way I'm building my game, it shouldn't really matter because the camera will move to you if your screen's say too narrow. So like in the dungeon area, if you can't see the left and the right, you just move around and see it. And the UI is the equivalent of responsive design in web development, right?
It's fixed to
corners
or whatever.
Yeah, it's anchored to the corner, but so many pixels down from that corner. So unless you made the screen really small, it should be okay. So if I set this, go like this, you can emulate different resolutions and aspect ratios in the editor by just not using full screen mode.
Yeah, the resolutions isn't a big thing. Like if you stay 16 by 9 or whatever, it's all going to be the same. But changing aspect ratios kind of becomes it's a problem for me at least, because one way or the other, you either see more or less of the world, you know.
And you'll probably do that in mine as well, right? It wouldn't be the exact same experience if you had like a vertical screen versus a horizontal screen.
Yeah. It's just, I guess we would have to anticipate. We have to make the game in a way that there's never anything. Because, like for example, like some weird obscure example, like an NPC going like, "Hey, go get me that apple on the tree over there." But like if you were on a vertical screen, you can't even see it. Kind of thing.
So here's a good example of it. This is me playing the game with a very tall aspect ratio.
Yeah.
It works. You can do it. Wouldn't recommend it, but you can do it. And it's, it's a Windows application when you're all said and done, so you could drag the window around too to make it whatever size you want. I haven't done this in a while. Let's make sure it builds. It's always good to do before you release a game. Build it quite a ways in advance to make sure there's no errors. Started working on something once and didn't realize that what I was doing had a lot of Unity editor stuff in it, and the build would not build because of it. Even though it wasn't actually physically used in the game, I hadn't separated it out into its own little editor area for the editor to recognize it, and it was an asset from the asset store that did it to me. Got a hold of the person that built the asset.
People feel very stressed near the game release because they find that on the day.
Right. So Unity by default comes up with this configuration window, right? And you can say, I want to run it in this resolution, and I want to run it in window mode or not, the graphics quality, the monitor you want it on. And then you can override the inputs, which the way I've designed my game, it should be fine. Because I'm using horizontal and vertical inputs. So WASD or your arrow keys will work. Using Fire 1 and 2 and this interact button. So all that should work. It's interesting. I wonder if my Xbox controllers. Nope, I don't have any batteries for it. Never mind. If I hit play, this is the Unity logo. Goes to the start screen, and there it is in full screen, which looks a lot better to me. It feels more like a game in full screen.
Looking good. You go inside any of those houses yet?
Yeah, there's one of them you can. So it's over this way. So the plan is the ones with the doors open will eventually have a house to go into. This is the one you can go into.
I love the perspective of this game where like the houses are the same length as like a player, like 2 players and a half. But then when you go in, it's like
it's huge. It's like a TARDIS.
It's like a TARDIS.
Yeah. Hey, the king. How's it going? So like, oh nice, I didn't put a collider on that. I didn't. Ah, you can walk across the table. That's a bug. Yeah, I just wanted to design one real quick, so I built this one. Just to get the transition between worlds and stuff set. So that is one other thing, right? So this character, if I kill him, or he kills me. Ah! He's protected by something. There you go. Should I learn programming to make a video game or just art?
Learn one of those two really well.
Yeah. Or both, if you want to do it all by yourself. So that guy's gone now. I killed him. If I go in here and go back out, he's back, right? So that's one of the downfalls of the way I'm doing things. Now, there are games that do it that way. And I think in most scenarios, I would be okay with it coming back, right? Because that's how old school Zelda would do it, right? If you leave the area and come back, your enemies are back. You can use it to farm gold and stuff, right? So it's got its advantages. But I could see where like you go into the boss room, if that boss is already defeated, I need to persist that, right? I don't want the boss to come back and then you have to fight the boss again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm saying I'm gonna have to do some type of saving of state in some scenes.
No, programming is not necessary. I don't know any programming, and I'm making my own game.
Yes, you have a small army of people working on your game.
Well, that's what happens. If you have money, you can achieve anything. You don't need to know anything.
You don't even have to work at all if you got enough money. You just tell other people to do it.
Hey, by all means, I'm not rich, but it doesn't take a whole lot for people aspiring to make a game that know how to draw to work on my game.
It does take a lot to find them.
Yeah, well, I've been going on Twitch Creator every day for how long? Just looking.
Is that the right place to look, though? That might be the reason you haven't found one.
Well, no, it's not exclusively there. The Game Dev Discord, just all kinds of job boards as well.
Gotcha.
The problem is, like, the more of a formal place you look, the higher the expectations are of the people that are, the actual artists.
They're posting there because they want paid.
Yeah.
Up front.
Yeah. But I don't know. Maybe we'll just do that because me and my partner, we could, not my partner, but me and my partner in this project could just save up a bunch of money and just pay someone flat out. Even if they want like a lot, like $2,500, $5,000, whatever, we could just save it up. It's not really that big of a deal. Might take a while to save up, but there's no hurry.
That's how I'm thinking. No hurry. Mainly because it's just me. Just wondering if the skill would be useful. Learning to program? Yeah. If you want to be a game programmer, definitely learn how to program. That's what you're asking.
I didn't want to say anything because it's your stream and all that, but that's so ridiculous what he's saying. I want to be a programmer. Should I learn how to program? Seems kind of preposterous.
That's what's wrong. So that's on collision somehow.
Did you find out the thing that was blocking that guy is a signpost to have a bigger collision than its picture?
Where at are you talking about? I can think of one place, but there was no signpost there.
Wasn't there a signpost? The guy was like hiding next to the door. Was it like a mailbox or a signpost or something?
Oh, there. This is that collision there.
What is that? Oh, it is a signpost.
I mean, there's a sign there, yeah, but there's no collision on that one. On this layer, at least.
That guy?
It's on top deco, so there should be nothing there. No low colliders. I'm really not sure.
I think it was the corner of that signpost, because I think maybe your arrow has a pretty generous hitbox thing, so it was like the edge of it was hitting the signpost.
There's no collider on that layer that this thing's on.
Oh. Well, it was definitely that, right? It had to be that thing. Somehow.
Unless it was the house. What's
he
his...
was in front of it, by all...
He was in front of it, but if his collider's up too high for some reason, it's basically at his toes. Is there more one collider on him? I think there is. And there's a circle collider, which is right there. And then there's the trigger for the arrows, which is the box collider, which goes all the way up to here. To here. But it should hit him.
King, if you say I want to be a game programmer, and should I learn programming to make the video game or just art? You should. It's a lot easier to find an artist to work on your game than to find a programmer. The programming is the bulk of the work for most game projects.
And that's your perspective on it, and I'm not going to argue with it as a programmer myself. But
yeah,
I would be curious what an artist would think.
There's definitely some projects that there's barely any programming. Like a Telltale game, for example. It's a lot of just art, and the programming is basically just WASD and dialogue.
I guess I haven't played enough of the games to know for sure.
Going on, it's just like an ongoing cinematic.
Yeah, see, Lord Smooches does both the art and the programming, and he's saying it's 50-50. And I understand why he's saying that. I guess it depends on the type of game, too. So a 2D game definitely has a lot more art, in my opinion. Because it's a different style of art. Like, a 2D game, you make every single frame of every animation, right? Versus a 3D game, you make the 3D character, and then you say, move your arm. You don't have to do each individual pose of that arm in between, being at a side and swinging. Right. So it's a different level of art that's needed, I guess.
Well, I think in terms of hours put in to a game, I'm pretty sure most of the hours is in the programming part. Because, yeah, I think so. Especially starting from scratch and factoring in all the hours of like debugging and just figuring out how things work. Maybe for someone really experienced that doesn't do any errors, like doesn't sit there for hours trying to what the hell's going on with this array? Why isn't it, that kind of thing? Then maybe like if you're really experienced. But I would say the same thing for artists. Like really experienced artists fly through.
You're very, very true. You have a very good point. Both sides
I
will
think the skill cap for programming to fly through making a game. I just don't think that an artist. I think an artist can make all the assets, or for example, Legend of Zelda, faster than a programmer could make it all work. But it's different for different games, obviously. For like Cookie Clicker, for example. I don't know. Actually, Cookie Clicker probably has more art than programming, although maybe not. I don't know. The programming seems to be.
But for something like Cookie Clicker, and I haven't played it, so I'm going to be harsh on it. But for something like it, I would imagine that the quality of the art needs to be higher, given that there's not much else to it. You know what I mean? It's just.
But the numbers have to be like tuned really finely to make it a good experience.
I get what you're going for. So like it has to be well balanced, is what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
But balance doesn't necessarily always lead directly to programming. It could be the programmer says, every time you click the button you get a cookie or whatever, right? And then you use cookies to buy new things. And
but all the numbers, the
basically variables at that point, and could be defined up to the game designer. Like the programmer could say, "Here you go," and then never touch the code again, and he balances it all out.
Right. Well, yeah. I guess in my world, I'm doing game design and programming is one and the same.
Yeah.
Because I'm so used to like indies and stuff, At a big studio, obviously, yeah, it wouldn't be. But for me, programmers are the game designers.
Yep.
But yeah, you're right. In Ubisoft or one of those, or Blizzard or whatever, or just big teams, the guy figuring out how the game's going to work is not necessarily the guy writing any of the code. Could be the artist even.
Yep.
Well, that's kind of what Below the Stone has going on. Although I don't know, I guess they're both kind of game design equally. They're both game designers, and one's a programmer, one's an artist.
Yeah. From what I've seen of the interactions, it sounds like they both at least review ideas with each other.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about this song that just makes me want to skip it when I get to that part of that song. So I will.
I can't hear any of your stream. I have to mute the stream.
Well, you didn't have to listen to that song, so you're welcome.
Let's ask Andrew. Andrew, what do you think? I mean, this is a subjective thing. I don't think there's really a right or wrong. But what do you think? How should we phrase it even? What do you think is more important to a successful game developer or a successful game project? A good programmer or a good artist? I don't know. That's kind of a weird question.
So what do you think? Let's also preface that question with, this is not a loaded question trying to get you in trouble with Mike. Or causing fights between you two. This is just a discussion we were having. Do you happen to come back from?
Okay, how about this? If you only had a fixed amount of hours you could spend on the project and you had to allocate them, would you allocate more towards programming or art?
Didn't take it as a loaded question, good.
Or hours could be equal to dollars, whatever you want. Like, what would you spend more time or money on? Game programming or the art? Basically, we're trying to
budgeting it out.
Some guy asked if he should learn the art or the programming if he wants to eventually make games. What should you focus on? And I was thinking that it's easier to get an artist on board to a game that works versus taking a bunch of art you made and getting a programmer to make that into a viable game. But it could be the other way around, I'm not sure. I don't even think, is that even possible? If you take a bunch of art, has that ever even been done? Taking a bunch of art to a programmer to have it made into a game?
There's a lot of people that start with, oh, I have a great idea for a game. So if any of those are talented from an art perspective, I would imagine it's probably happened before. That makes sense.
So you're saying it's equal? I mean, that's what Lord Smooches was saying too. It's 50-50. I would say it's 60-40. I'm not trying to diminish art. Obviously, it's super important, but I don't think it's more or as important as the program, or takes as much time or talent.
But still, I think the right answer to King's question is, if you want to be a game programmer, you need to learn programming, which is what you're asking.
Yeah. If you want to be a game programmer, you definitely need to know how to program a game.
I will agree with what Andrew said right there. They need each other. I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't have this art. I wouldn't. I've tried it too many times. I know that basically if you were to draw like a curve of my excitement level of making a game, it would go as soon as like I got about a week into it.
And he hit us with the
I was using my own art.
Who was talking about sound, Andrew?
What? You can make a great game with no sound? Ooh, I don't know about that.
It's not a great game, but it's a good game. If you needed programming to create a video game. Well, technically no, right? Because RPG Maker.
But isn't that game creating? I mean, it's you need to understand logic and stuff to do it still, though, don't you?
Yeah.
It's basically programming. It's just they put training wheels on it.
Yeah. What is it called? Module-based programming? I don't know. Something else like that. Not module. Visual. I can't remember. Drag and drop. No, there's like a word that all those guys, or those companies use to describe their systems.
Turn on this. Grab that. We're going to put it on ground here. We're going to paint it right there. And we're going to go back to Localizer.
Node-based architecture.
And erased. Yeah, okay. Alright, so then that should just work.
Although I am tempted to tell this guy to focus on art only and try to make a game. It would be interesting experiment. Well, I mean, some games could be, for Uber Pasta, some games could be like specifically playing on the fact that it has no sound. Like a game about being deaf or whatever, like a deaf simulator kind of thing. I don't know.
But even then, like, would it really have no sound? Like menus and music, they're talking nothing, right?
Yeah. Well, I don't think any game has no sound, or like 99.9% of games have some sound.
Right.
But even if you did have no sound, I think it could still be great. I don't know, maybe not. I mean, some games I play on mute at this point because I want to listen to music.
Yeah, and that's another thing. So, like as I'm building this, right? I have no sounds in my game whatsoever. I'm okay with it if I'm streaming. But as soon as I stop streaming, I stop playing the music I got going in the background. And then it instantly comes out this, wow, this is missing something major.
I think if we look at Minecraft, right, and you took out all the sounds they have in that game, would it really have damaged the sales of that game very much? I don't think so.
I don't know. I could throw one key sound at you.
No, the creeper thing?
Yeah, the creeper thing. Without the creeper thing, there'd be too many rage-inducing moments.
I mean, if they not just pull the sound out of the game, but like compensate somehow for the creeper thing, like your screen starts flashing red or whatever, like compensate for the fact that there is no sound. I think it's still a good game.
Okay. If you had some accessibility option that would allow for it, then yeah. I've never played Dwarf Fortress.
Well, you're changing it up, Andrew. At first you said great game. We know that sound isn't necessary for a game, but is it necessary for a great game?
I can't fit through there, really? I'm too fat, okay.
If only you had some Minish Cap mechanics where you could shrink down and get in between that crack.
Gosh, no.
Minish Cap.
This is hard enough. I can only imagine if I changed the scale of the player constantly. How many bugs that would introduce. Is it possible to make a game with no sound and if it's successful? Oh. I would say that if it's a success, well, there's different types of success too, right? The game that sells 10,000 copies and only, had $10 in effort in it is a success, right? For the person that made it.
Yeah, but
not necessarily a good game.
Translate hours spent into dollars if you're going to do that, right? Because no game got $10 spent, especially if you're like factoring an opportunity loss. Like, how many hours did you spend doing that when you could have been doing something else, kind of thing.
So one of the very first days I streamed with these assets, somebody came in and said, "Is your art?" I said, "Nope." They said, "Oh, you're doing an asset flip?" I said, "Nope, I'm going to put effort into it, actually." And then they went into this rant about how Steam has been flooded with asset flips that basically have no effort on it. And he was saying the exact opposite of what I'm saying, right? I'm putting effort into building it into an actual game. But basically they get a bunch of fancy art that looks good, make 2 or 3 screens out of it, and then you play it and it really doesn't do anything in the game. Like, it's just a picture. Okay, Lord Smooches.
Lord Smooches.
Catch you later. Hey guys, if you haven't followed him, follow him. Seriously. He's making an awesome Zelda game.
I've been following him since April 9th, 2017 somehow.
There you go. We might have seen each other in his chat before then.
That's how long I've been looking for artists in the pixel art category.
Fine. See, you're not encouraging me in wanting to go look for somebody else. Well, if you've been looking for that long and haven't had any luck,
well, here's the thing, right? I haven't had no luck, but it all depends on the most important variable is the cash in hand variable.
Oh! I thought you were going to say their quality.
No, well, quality you can find. There's a lot of really talented artists out there, but there aren't a lot of talented cheap artists out there.
Gotcha.
Quality is actually easy. It's harder to find the shitty ones. Because I'm looking for I'm not delusional about how much money I have can get me. I'm not trying to get the best Twitch streamer, artist, whatever, to do all the art for my game for $500. I mean, I know that's not going to happen.
Right. And yes, Andrew, I have a green screen. It's not that good over there because of lighting, but I have a green screen. I need more light on that side because I'm casting a shadow from my light that's over there onto the green screen. It screws it up. Here's the secret to a good green screen: lighting and no wrinkles. You don't have a shadow? I know what you meant.
He doesn't have a shadow because he's in the dark all the time. Some dark coding gremlin that sits in the pitch black.
And you can't see it because it's
screen on dark mode.
Dark right now. There, you can probably see it a little bit now. Like right in this area here. There's this shadow there. Just barely though. Now that I've pointed out, you won't be able to unsee it. You're welcome. So if I do this, I'm going to have to increase, obviously, this desert up here a little bit, but also my size of my A-star grid graph. I guess it's okay. Let's just take a little bit more computational power. There we go. And then we will go to colliders, select all this, and move you. Like that. So if we control click that. Ah! Then go to ground. Control click that. Uh-oh. What'd I do? There we go. Hey. No, no, no. Crap. Redo. That should do. Now that I've got all this extra area, I need something here, I need something here, so maybe I'll put some more houses in at some point. Wish there was a transition between this road and this road. See, that would be where having an artist would actually help. Like, hey, dude, do this for me. I want a transition, please. And then they go off and do it.
Yeah. Or, hey, can we make this bridge 3 wide? Or can you, like, you know.
Right.
Like, just the other day, I was trying to make, like, a system for harvesting vegetables in my game. Just kind of, actually, like, ironically, we're not making a farming simulator, but we wanted ironically to include that. I didn't have any vegetable models or anything, so I just texted the artist, hey, I need some parsnips. Bam, 15 minutes later, I got vegetables in my game.
That sounds ridiculously fast. Are you exaggerating? Because like that's amazing.
No, I mean the thing is a 16 by 16 sprite. I mean, it's not
still
not rocket science.
I'm crappy at it. Like I would take forever with that.
So
trying to build it.
Working on other stuff.
Oh. Okay. So now we can actually like try and build another shore to this, I guess. We go on low colliders.
Here, there's the parsnip. Oh god, Discord makes it so small.
Wow, that's tiny.
Yeah, well, our game is really, everything is really low res, but not just like everything is high res but looks low res. It's actually low res.
Yeah.
Like the player model is actually like 30 by 15 or whatever. It's not like a full size model with huge pixel details. It's actually that small, which makes it hilarious because I had to put loading screens in the game that do nothing. They're just cosmetic. The whole game loads, especially on my computer, in like 0.1 seconds, all the files. But the loading screen is just for, because it's a convention to have loading screens. So I have like a 3-second loading screen that's not doing anything. Just a bar going across the screen that's not based on anything. Because like the whole tile map is like 300 by 200 pixels or whatever. The whole level. Like all the images are really small.
So you've induced a wait just because people expect a wait.
Yep.
Awesome.
Well, and it's a way disseminating information, if that's even a right word. I don't know. It's a way of conveying information that we want in another way. Loading screen tips.
Oh, true.
I don't know. It does kind of feel weird though, instantly zoning in. To me, it does at least. Like, you know how you have like a fade in and fade out? Mine would be instant. Like, it would just be as if it's carrying on.
Right, and mine's kind of almost an induced one as well. Like, I put it there assuming that as levels get bigger that it's going to be needed. It may not be.
Yeah, later on, I think I'm going to put in a thing where it changes the wait time based on your frame rate, because it does technically load some things. And since my entire game's dialogue is going to be loaded every time you go to a new level, I don't know, it's still like, I don't know how many pages of dialogue we're going to have, but the whole file's going to be like maybe a megabyte tops for everything. So I can imagine someone maybe taking a few seconds to load. Well, no, honestly, loading a megabyte, I don't know. I don't think it's going to take that long, actually. So yeah, I don't know. But normally I would do it based on frame rate. So I would keep them in the screen until their frame rate is plateaued to a normal rate, indicating they're done reloading their assets.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. That's normalized. So if somebody has a really crappy commercial or computer, they're gonna forever do it.
Or whatever. maybe not a phone per se, but I don't know how like Nintendo Switch stuff works, or if we ever want to put it on the Switch, because I don't even know the parameters of that hardware.
It's true. Maybe having the loading screen is good for the future of it. You never know what you're going to put it on. There we go.
Wait, someone just followed. Thanks for following, whoever you are.
They followed you too? Cool. So I had a follow too. It was Goose Sticks.
They followed you. I'm being your stream alert.
How did it not tell me? How did you find out? I got an email.
On the stream, it popped up.
The stream alert didn't make a sound though.
I don't know. I have the thing muted. I have to have the stream muted because I can't have your voice in the Discord and the stream with a slight delay between.
Yeah, that's like a nightmare. Really? Why did it not play sound? Maybe that's why I haven't
followed Ghosty.
Yeah, it was.
How about you subscribe too? How about that? This is no way the viewpoint of the streamer, but it would be amazing if you just subscribe right now.
This is not RPG Maker, but we are making a game. It's worse.
Jesus. Alright, I'm being too edgy.
Who's this guy I let in my Discord? No.
Yeah, exactly. Just telling people to subscribe is ruining my whole feng shui. I know you got some bits, Ghosty. Throw them here. Here, I'll lead the charge.
Woohoo! Now that made a sound. What?
I know you have bits too, Andrew. Don't pretend like you don't.
He got all the bits. Oh wait, that was the other account.
Are bits transferred like that?
I don't know. I assume
That'd
they
be
are.
pretty cool.
Like if you gave me bits, right? So I'm assuming I could do bits.
That would be really cool. Like their like actual inventory. Your bits, if you get donated bits, they just go to your bit inventory. They don't get auto converted to cash and sent to your credit card. So you could like kind of spread the wealth around.
So they don't go to the bit bucket. Ha 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 ha.
Bit bucket. I'm just gonna put it this way, Andrew. If you're not gonna donate bits, get the hell out of here. All right.
Man.
If you're not gonna pay, you can't stay.
Now you're kicking people out of my stream? Come on, man. Andrew's cool. He can stay.
Only on one condition you can stay, Andrew. You have to add a pineapple into your game. Don't even tell Mike, because he's against the idea.
Mike's the artist.
Put it in there. I'll send you a pineapple JPEG. You just got to get it in there.
That's too much. That's too much. Let's see if I shorten it though. Is that better?
Make it just like a 6x6 pixel pineapple, really small, somewhere.
Challenge is like, how small could you make it and still recognize it's a pineapple?
Let me see. I'm gonna bust out the old paint.
Paint.net.
No, this is paint.exe. The fancy one. I bought a license to use it.
Patrick Evil Face. Andrew, have you tried making any of that for the game? And I guess flip side of that, has Mike tried doing any of the programming? Have either one of you tried changing roles to get experience doing the other side? Or do either one of you have desire to do that? Maybe you don't.
Okay, what do you think about this? Is this a recognizable pineapple? I mean, I'm no pixel artist, but I think that works.
I mean, if you say the word pineapple within 3 minutes of me looking at that, I'll probably figure it's a pineapple.
Right. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 by 3.
Okay. I heard him say something about recognizing something in Unity, so I didn't know if he's ever used it before.
How about this, Andrew? We'll strike a deal. If you donate bits right now, tech stack, you can just add up. You can just comment in the pineapple into the code. You don't have to actually put it in the game.
Oh, into my game, you're saying?
No, into their game.
How am I gonna code their game?
No, you don't have to do it. Andrew.
Okay.
Put in the comments a pineapple. If he donates bits right now, I'll let him just comment it in instead of putting it in the game. But if he doesn't donate bits, I want that thing in the game.
Gotcha. See, somebody else liked your pineapple, Vanna.
Oh yeah. Jeez.
Or Vanna, how you say it?
Wow. You have a very lovely community.
Trying.
Where it's all staged.
Shh! I have 17 accounts on Discord that I'm using. Let's put it on like the when you beat the game, it just comes up with a pineapple at the end of the credits. That pineapple, that pixelated, but full screen, like massive on the screen.
Okay.
Pineapple.
I'm trying to find examples of low res pixel art pineapples, but they're all really high res.
And the text beneath it will say, "Rip the victims of the video war." Boom, done. So can I do it like a 2x2? There we go. No, I said 2x2.
That's a really bad pineapple. The more I look at it, it's terrible.
Is it 3 pixels wide, or is it like double that and you just made them 2x2 for the pixels?
It's 3 pixels wide. Oh, I zoomed in a lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Hold on, I want to work on a different one. I found my calling.
Pineapple art.
This is how I get into pixel art. I can rip up all the contracts I have with any artist. Rip them up. Step aside.
We've created a monster, Andrew. Wait, that's not the rule I want. I want the overworld one for this, for grass. See, in streams like tonight are why I'm saying I think this game's going to take me a long time to do. Because all I'm basically doing is drawing, and look how long I've been doing it. And I'm on level 1. So that means there's something on another layer. No. What's the ratio? There we go. Round. There. Done. And then we need to add all this randomness to the water. Back on low gliders. And rocks. Okay. Whoa. Whoa. Oh, not that many.
Alright, this is the master copy.
That looks like a pineapple. Good job. Seriously.
Did it. But it's a lot higher res. It's like a 6x12 or something.
Is it a selfie? Oh my gosh. Oh, he prefers the low res one.
What the hell are you saying, Andrew? That's not valid, what you just said. You're objectively incorrect. The low res one could be anything.
Time to make a commit on GitHub because, yeah, it's a lot of stuff I changed. Overworld changed. Looks better, I don't know.
Use the high res one.
But it's a pineapple when there's text under it saying pineapple.
Not really, though.
Is that the Unity bug doing that again?
Nano quantum physics?
How did we get on quantum physics? What?
Well, we are talking very low res.
Oh.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a joke, because it's like you can't tell that the low res is a pineapple until you say it's a pineapple.
It's like Schrodinger's pineapple.
Yeah, because it looks like it could also be like a turnip, you know? It could also be a turnip.
Like, or like a non-ripe cherry or apple or something.
Yeah, it could be. Or yeah, it could be many. So yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it. I have it in Photoshop right now. The first one you sent me, because it has like that checkered background is actually not transparency. I think that's the same.
Oh, I know.
Yeah. So I put it in Photoshop and I took out the background and I'm gonna add some text under, and then I'm gonna add it to the game somewhere. I'll just put it in the level somewhere.
Put it in the main menu in the corner that scrolls by with the parallaxing, and if you happen to click on it, it does something. Like just put it hanging off of one of the trees.
Yeah, but that thing hanging off the trees does not. That's.
Aren't they all pine trees too? That looks so fitting. A pineapple hanging off a pine tree. In a snowy.
That's where they come from, don't you know?
Pretty sure they're evergreens. I'm not sure, but I'll have to ask.
Well, evergreen.
Pine trees is a type of evergreen.
Tree? Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Well, are you?
Evergreen just means it's green forever. It doesn't. Things don't fall off.
I mean, yeah, but
right.
There
is the winner.
There are evergreens that are not pine trees, but there are not pine trees that are not evergreens, I don't believe.
Although evergreen is that really a proper term? Because I think like in a nuclear Armageddon they won't be green.
Yeah.
Yes. Or if you light them on fire.
Yeah. They turn brown when they light them on fire. And
I'll
black.
I'll have to ask Mike who they're supposed to be. I'm pretty sure they're evergreen. 99. I think honestly, you know what? I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Pineapple. That second one you sent me, that actually just might be a grenade.
You know,
and the first one is not a grenade.
If you change,
it could also be a grenade. But the thing is that the second pineapple is more veered towards its determinism is more veered towards being a grenade.
But look at the first one as if it's like a bomb being dropped from a bomber plane.
Yeah, you're right. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah, I could be a turnip bomb.
Almost looks like the plunger they use to detonate things too.
Right. Yeah, but it's missing. It's missing one pixel for that. The top one, top middle. If you had that one, then you'd have it all.
Second one, if you took the green and made it like gray, like smoke coming out of the grenade, and fuse burner.
It also looks a lot like a pineapple.
Yeah.
Oh, now that you say it.
Or pineapple grenade.
So.
Okay, so I need to add another exit point.
I love how you said. So that first pineapple picture you sent me, when you're referring to something I posted, not even in your Discord. I didn't send it to you. Andrew.
Oh,
I
forgot I was looking on. For some reason, I thought you put it on the Below the Stone Discord. It's because you have to switch between all the Discords, and it's like, oh, this is on our Discord.
So you think you just any Discord you go to is yours now?
Yes. Yeah.
Here we go.
You guys should just combine your Discords. Might as well share the communities.
You probably have about the same number of people.
What? Communities.
Share the love. I thought you were gonna say.
No. There's no love. Although I don't think you can for the Twitch thing.
Yeah. The Twitch integration being all messed up. Ooh. Just realized I can make that walkway extend all the way. It's the little things in life.
But what you could do is do Twitch integration on one account, right? And then if all three of you guys or both of you guys both have the stream key, you could share an account. Bam. But it's too late now. But it could have been cool. But then you can't stream at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, you could. You did do the thing that Mike and Andrew do, kind of. I wonder if you can do that remotely, like pipe it into two feeds and have them like do that on their own, kind of thing.
There's another streaming platform that does it too. I think maybe Mixer it's called or something. I don't know. One of the Microsoft did. You can have one person in one location, another person in another location, and it combines to make one stream.
That would be something good, because then I could just have OBS on my computer, and then we'll just like a merge stream almost. That'd be useful.
Yeah.
Another way you could do it is if one of you set up a RTPM, I think it is, server. It basically, instead of you streaming to Twitch, you stream to him, and then he just incorporates that as another feed.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm kind of doing it with Discord, but it's kind of like ghetto setup.
Yeah.
It seems to work pretty well for you guys, though.
Yeah, I wouldn't. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Mm-hmm.
Seems fine.
As a programmer, the only complaint I would have is your screen is very small and the font on your screen is very small, so trying to read and understand what you're doing is like near impossible. Especially on my phone, right? Like, that's too small.
From a casual Scrub Lord's perspective, like mine, I feel like I can't see enough of the art.
There are times. That's why I was saying you guys need a button that you can just switch between you and make Mike's art big and your stuff small. That way you can keep track of each other and then switch back and forth.
And since Mike
it's possible.
spends most of the time reading chat, he might as well have control over the button, and it'll be fine. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, you can do a button with OBS quite easily, right?
Mm-hmm.
Switch scenes or switch layouts, whatever it's called.
Yeah. So this is OBS here, and you just go boom. There's AFK. Right back. So I've got all these different things set up. And you can set them to hotkeys. That's how I do it. So I've got hotkeys defined that, that will switch between the scenes, but it's just a hotkey that's running on my
efficient to a fault.
On my Stream Deck.
Spamming your own chat.
Yeah, that was a mistake.
Whoa, what was that? I saw some fucking circuitry going on. What was going on there?
This? It's my outro screen.
Oh yeah, look at that.
I'll put that up when I'm done. I animated that myself. I was proud of that.
Electricity works, actually.
Mm-hmm. Has little sparks and everything. Every time I look inside my computer, I see that.
Yeah.
It has a door just so I can do that. Or a window, I mean.
You should change the glowing balls to little pineapples instead. Make them blue still, so it fits the theme.
Yeah, I made that like
Blue
A year or
pineapple.
6 months ago, and I didn't know you then.
Wow. Whose fault is that?
I know. You should have found me earlier.
Now look at this thing. I don't know who made this, but they have a good eye. Good taste.
Oh, now that's in 3D.
Oh,
Is it 3D? Could be 2D.
cousin?
Who
Looks like
knows?
3D.
It looks 3D.
is that your
Who
cousin?
knows? No, you know how I'm like the guy with the sunglasses and the plant? This is my cousin. He's a nerd.
Oh, okay. I see. There was that one.
There is your Discord logo too. Or icon, whatever. Emote, whatever it's
Yeah.
called.
That's the selfie.
Wait, could I see that? Could I see that? I don't remember.
So is the blue pineapple? Is that like your? Is that like one of your like? I don't know how to say this. I think that the comedic timing is gone, but I'm gonna say like, like that's one of your like you're related to them, but you're related through like a great grandfather from like Asia or Europe or something. I was gonna say.
Alright, I'm gonna stop spamming the Discord with this last one. I think the world needs to see.
Pineapple.
Didn't know there's so many varieties of pineapples.
Oh yeah. Those are all natural ones too. I could show you some more that are just drawn, but those are all pictures.
Oh.
Photographs. I don't have a single article of clothing with a pineapple on it. You know that?
Maybe I'll 3D print a pineapple.
Oh. And then
I
what?
have a 3D printer.
If you have a 3D printer, you should be giving away real products. How about that?
You should give away little stones.
Yeah.
Be like, your prize is underneath it.
Have you ever thought about this? First 100 people to beat your game, you send them a stone, a 3D printed below the stone.
No, don't even 3D print them. Just get real stones.
Yeah.
Right on.
Here you go.
You know, I think USPS, you can put the shipping labels and all this stuff directly to objects. You don't have to put them in envelopes or anything. So you could put the shipping label right onto the rock and just ship it like that.
Yeah.
You just have to make sure it don't come off. You wouldn't let
Yeah.
the stone get lost in the mail.
They eventually just find a rock. What the hell is this? There's like no shipping label or anything on it.
Jams up
how
one of
did
their
this get
machines.
Yeah. Was someone shipping a box full of rocks? What's happening?
Okay, time to look at Trello again. Got about another half hour or so.
I mean, that happens.
And let's do another commit too. Oh, we're good.
Hmm?
There we go.
Wait, Andrew, are you still working? Yeah, you are. Look at you, playing Unity Engine.
I keep setting mine up to do that, and then it keeps changing on me.
Oh, is that a Git? Oh, that's a GitHub client.
Yeah, this is GitHub for desktop. GitHub desktop, the new version of it.
Saw that. Like, I was thinking about getting it because that pretty much works just like how the Git like command line is, right?
It's actually running the Git command line in the background, yeah.
Oh, so you actually have an interface. Cool. I should get that.
Yeah, I don't. Except for when this breaks, because I've done something silly like trying to merge something that shouldn't be able to be merged. I don't use the command line at all for Git. This is just like committing and pushing and fetching. This is the easiest way to do it.
Yeah, that's why I think that's one of the reasons why I never got into repositories is because you have to use the command line. It's like why can't I just have a button? And there I see on your screen there's a button. There you go. It's a big blue button. Commit whenever I want.
Yep, commit to master. That just, makes the commit on my machine, and then to push it up to the internet so it's backed up, I push that button. Boom, done. As it
Alright.
finishes.
That actually might now do repositories for the project.
And then, okay, if you're actually interested in it, so you can have other branches too. Right, so I'm on the master branch right now, but if I wanted to do a new branch that says test, I just click create, and it checks out that whole sentence, everything up to that point. In a test branch, I can make all my changes in there, leave master alone, and then when I'm happy to it, I can merge it back into master and then go forward with master from that point on. And the benefit of that is you can keep, let's say you're on release day, you keep master as your released version of your code, and I don't know, like 1.1 is what you create for a test branch for your next branch, and you start working on that. And then if somebody has an issue with the code that's in production, you can look at that version of the code by switching that to that master branch. I've actually done that with the mod I created, where I would be working on a, like, I don't know, 1.12 version of Minecraft, and someone would be telling me there was bugs in the 1.8 version of Minecraft, and I could still look into those bugs and fix those bugs for that version, and basically maintain two copies of my code, and then just merge everything back in at the end of the day, and it'd be all happy.
What mod did you make for Minecraft? Have I ever heard of it?
Probably not. It's got about 50 or 60,000 downloads, and it's TechStack's heavy machinery mod. Basically added crappy looking bulldozers and backhoes and front end loaders, dump trucks, all that type of stuff to Minecraft so that you could do construction, basically.
Cool.
But I also worked for a mine or a stone quarry for 7 years, so I made it more realistic.
Real life?
Yeah, real life.
Oh, you worked for stone quarry. That's kind of up my alley. I'm a gemologist. I studied gemstone.
Oh. We didn't do that kind of thing, though. Like, it was just stone.
Or maybe you did. Maybe a secret part of your organization was like, holy fuck, we found diamonds. Don't tell anyone.
I don't know. It's a pretty small company. It'd be easy to find that out. It was so small that I was their programmer that literally printed the checks and did the taxes for their employees, like withholding taxes.
Accountant and programmer in one? That's a deal.
Well, okay. I wasn't the accountant, but I made the program that did the withholding taxes. Like, they didn't have an external payroll company, right? They were from 1902, right? They've been around forever, and they've made it themselves.
1902 had some guy doing it.
Right. They probably had a person doing it by hand back then. It's just when they got computers in the early 70s, because like they had a computer that was a room at one time. So, like, they would tell me stories, like some of the old timers that were still there, of how they had, 100 accountants basically, because you needed that many to do all the transactions by hand on paper.
Yeah.
Anyway,
all that.
Yep, computers changed it all.
Whoa, what happened to your game?
I made it into 3D,
Just entered
just
the
like
fifth
that.
dimension.
Oh, there's crap that's not on the right z-axis. Ah, look at that.
Oh.
What is
What
it?
is that? The hay?
Oh, grid is your tile map even like is the Z zeroed out?
It is for everything but the hay, apparently.
Maybe that's why I was getting cut in half before.
That was different hay. I fixed that hay.
Oh. Well, I mean, it was getting cut in half for lore reasons, obviously. That was already established. But you decided to go a different route, and that's fine. You decided to go the wrong. Put it that way.
Hey, if my game doesn't sell on Steam, I will know why.
I'm gonna put a negative review when I buy it and be like, listen, when I was watching this guy on Twitch, he had all kinds of like parallel dimension implications and all stuff, and now there's just scorpions. I don't know where any of that stuff went. It's complete disappointment.
Thank you, Pineapple.
I thought I was going to the quantum realm. Not a single pineapple in sight. There's like almost nothing redeeming in this game. No pineapples, no quantum dimension.
I still have tearing between the sprites. I need to fix these sprites.
Oh. Every time it hits 9 o'clock, my screen gets pineapple tint. Happens very abruptly.
You might have an obsession.
No, it's the like eye comfort thing for Windows 10.
Oh.
Is that nighttime mode? It's not dark mode, it's like yellow mode. It's like Gunner Optics mode.
I know what you're talking
Piss on your
about.
screen
Gunner
mode.
optics mode.
The whole thing becomes Gunner Optics TM.
Oh, it's 9 o'clock.
Save your eyes from the harsh blue.
That it's been staring at all day long.
Maybe that's why I like pineapple so much.
Because you're staring at a yellow screen.
When I was 10 and I came up with my initial username, Pineapple, I rationalized it to people asking me why it's pineapple. I'd be like, oh, pineapples are the king of the fruits. They're the only ones with the crowns. But I think now it's deeper than that. It's more quantum than that, my love for pineapples.
There is a saying that my wife got from one of her friends. It was like, be like a pineapple, hard on the outside, sweet on the inside, and always wear a crown or something like that. It was kind of a
Okay.
cool
good.
thing. I'll have to find it. It's like on a bag or something she gave her.
I mean, really what I'm playing at is try to be as obsessed about pineapples as possible so that all forms of like input into my life are pineapple themed. Like when people buy me a shirt and has a pineapple on it, or like pineapple sunglasses, or when someone wants to do something nice for me, it's like pineapple themed. So I think that would just be funny.
I don't know, maybe if you ask Microsoft nicely enough, instead of it saying nightlight, it'll say pineapple mode, a little button.
There's probably a registry edit you can do.
And yeah, I'm actually using that mode now that you mentioned. Pretty good for staring at this code in Unity stuff.
Well, Unity doesn't Unity have a dark mode?
If you pay for it.
Yeah, when you get the Pro, you get the dark
Well,
theme.
what, you guys aren't paying for Unity? What kind of nonsense is this?
Have you seen this, Andrew?
How much does it cost?
Windows
Oh, yeah.
Explorer dark theme.
Yeah.
They added it in this last update.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, or
Where do you-
what? Where?
Hey.
Windows Explorer?
Windows
Even
Explorer
Windows-
never had a dark theme before. Everything else in Windows did. You have to be
Where's
in
the
the
setting?
absolute latest version. You just go personalize. Nope, personalize. Crap.
I don't know if I might not have. Oh wait.
Themes? Nope, colors. Yeah, you go to colors, dark. But you have to be on like the update that came out within the last month, right? It's very,
I see.
very recent.
Default app mode. But this is not based on time. This is just always.
Always, yeah.
That's not as cool.
My Windows up to date? I don't think it's up to date. I'm in dark mode already.
What?
And like
Wait, hold on. This doesn't work for File Explorer. Wait, does it?
So
Yeah,
your
this doesn't work
Windows
for my-
version, I think, needs to say this version,
Oh,
1908 or 1809.
What's the command?
WinVer.
WinVer. Oh,
No, but wait, hold on a second. Even your File Explorer is dark mode? Mine isn't.
Hmm.
Even after I changed it.
That's what I'm saying. You have to have the latest version of Windows. Like they just released it
my
in the last week or
version,
two.
Well, I do have the latest version.
So-
18
I was able to change it to dark mode.
I found out about this. No, the dark mode's there, but you can't. It doesn't work in Explorer unless you have the latest version.
Oh, gotcha.
Dark mode's a old thing, but somebody came into somebody else's Twitch stream and said, "Hey, did you know dark mode's in this version of Windows, and it works in Windows Explorer?" And I instantly went and stopped the stream and updated my computer just for this. It was a big download too. It's like gig and a half or something. It said, so it's like a full version of Windows, not just a minor update.
So I'm in 1803. It says version 1803. Is that right?
1809.
1809. So I have to get updated.
I'm having a check for updates. Let's see.
I should just check for an update.
Here it is, 1809.
It says I'm up
Bros.
to date. Check. Wait.
No, you have to manually check. I think it gets up to date on like stuff they push to everyone, but weird ones are you have to manually look for them or something.
Dash one.
Yeah, so Windows.
Yeah. I just,
Update.
now it says it's downloading shit. Okay.
Yeah, you have to
Downloading
click the button.
1809. I remember a long time ago, another friend of mine was telling me about the dark theme, and I completely forgot about it, and I just assumed that it would auto update. And I completely forgot about it.
I mean, it might have eventually, like a year from now, like, oh, here's 1809, by the way.
Yeah, it's dark.
Preparing to download. 100%. It's 100% ready to download it.
Yeah, I'm using. Oh, wait a minute. Didn't they also add tabs?
Tabs? What?
Because, well, this other friend of mine was saying that they made it so that in the Windows Explorer there's tabs as well. I'm using like right now I'm using this kind of extension program called Clover that actually gives like Chrome tabs in the thing. But he was saying that like it would look, you would see it like up in the header of the window. There were like tabs, but I don't see them on yours.
Yeah, I don't see it either, but maybe it's an option somewhere?
Probably. Because you mentioned it. I mean, I'm pretty sure I even saw it on the screen, unless he was just using like an extension of some sort. I don't know. But I thought he said that like in this update, whatever the update was, in Windows Update, they were adding tab.
I don't see it anywhere quickly. If it is a thing, though, I want to know about it. Like, yeah. I use Explorer excessively, basically.
Also, I looked at your that mod that you made. The vehicles look good. That Minecraft mod.
Thank you, because most people think they look like poop. And that was another artist that did the 3D modeling on the latest version of it, at least. But everybody complains about the textures because they're just solid colors.
Well, I mean, it's
right,
Minecraft.
Right. But people are like, "Oh, it doesn't look like Minecraft." Whatever.
Mod. Do whatever you want.
Find a way to get those people's addresses and hunt them down.
It's a mod that lets you push over a tree with a bulldozer. Stop complaining.
Throw pineapples at their house.
Yeah, horrendous waste of pineapples. Pineapples are meant to be loved and treasured.
Unless they want to wage war, then they'd want to be thrown at their enemies. I guess. I don't know.
Interactions, maybe? Yeah, let's do it.
Oh yeah, I was gonna look up.
Fire.
Oh, so I was talking about this with Mike. Yeah. So actually, or maybe Andrew got the tail end of it too, but I know TechStack hasn't heard about this yet. I've been trying to work out something with a bunch of different game devs on Twitch where we all add some minuscule thing that we all have in common in our games.
Oh, that's a good idea. I think I know where you're going.
Like, but it has to be something that is like clearly, like, not coincidentally in the game. Like, oh, we all have a play button, not something like that. Like something that's like, for example, all of our start buttons are all purple or whatever.
Oh.
Or some, it could be something more intense. Like we all have a character named Bob. But you know, for some people are gonna want something that.
I thought you meant more like we all advertise each other.
Well, that's happening anyways already.
Well, I mean, like directly in the game. So, like in the main menu or something, maybe there's a pineapple in the corner, and you click on the pineapple, and it takes to a landing page for you. Or maybe there's a stone in the other corner, and it takes you over to below the stone.
Yeah, I mean, we could do that in a more like cohesive way where we're all under some kind of umbrella term name, where we have like a web portal that we all share.
Well, I was gonna say actually, unless I don't know if this is possible, but we would have like in the corner, in like the bottom right or bottom left corner of all of our main menus, there'd be like a little emblem, and it would be like the Twitch logo, but on top of it, you'd have like a special thing to kind of indicate that like, oh, it's something special. So it'd be like the Twitch logo, and then it would be like maybe a game controller or something, or like something to kind of represent like game development, like a symbol of some sort. And when people click on it, it takes you directly to like the page with all the game dev streams, pretty much.
Game dev streams, like twitch.tv/game dev? Or just us?
or like any game dev. Like it would just take you, so you'd see all the people who are doing game deving, so that like would get a little more popular, maybe.
Why don't we name our group like Twitch Game Dev League or something like that?
Yeah, I was thinking of a less altruistic thing than what Andrew was thinking. He's saying like let's raise the whole community, and I'm saying let's just raise each other.
Yeah,
not the whole community per se.
Right.
There's a lot of game dev people.
Right, and that's what I was gonna say. I could see us doing it as a smaller group, but not necessarily limiting it to the people that we're talking about now.
Yeah,
because you wouldn't want to have the whole Twitch game dev everybody, because you get lost in the weeds.
Yes,
that makes sense.
Yeah, I was just saying form some kind of collective, and we pick the members. You know, based on cohesiveness of their scale of their game and all that, and then have some kind of sign of that collective in all of our games.
Resistance is futile.
Interesting. So, I'm reading this. I was trying to figure out what happened to the tabs that I was talking about, and there's this one article talking about how they apparently weren't going to be in this update or whatever. And I'm looking at screenshots, and there's this picture of like, which is kind of weird and interesting, but it's a picture of they have PowerPoint open, and like above, like whatever you'd imagine the header being of like the PowerPoint window, right above it there's like the actual top of the window, and it has tabs for different programs. So there's like PowerPoint, but then there's Microsoft Word, and so all you gotta do is click on these tabs and it takes you to the different programs instead of having to go down to the taskbar.
Oh. So this is like a ribbon at the top of the screen that you can go to different programs with?
What's
going on? Taskbar?
His TextX code is on fire.
Oh, it's just a start menu at the top of the screen, right?
I guess it's like it's just program tabs and on the window, on top of the window.
But this seems like it's compatible for Microsoft Office only.
That
could be, yeah.
I wouldn't prefer that. I'd rather have like tabs on just.
But you already have tabs on the bottom. What do you need tabs on the top for as well?
Yeah, I don't know. Point. I do have. I think. Well, you were kind of excited when I mentioned tabs for tech, and I actually, like I said, I use this kind of like extension program called Clover, and it basically is just the normal Windows thing, except it adds in like this thing where it actually gives you tabs for the Windows Explorer, and they basically look like the Google Chrome tabs.
Okay. Yeah, I could see it being useful for Explorer.
Yeah.
I'm not real fond of modding Windows like that directly. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean,
Myself,
this is just a program you normally install. It's not like a mod or anything like that. But I get what you're saying.
And the mainly is I've had some before that are you don't notice that they're slowing down your computer until after you've had them for like 6 months, and then you're like, hey, my computer is really slow. I don't know why. And then you get to digging into it and you have to remove it, and then all of a sudden your problems go away. I hate that when it happens. So I've avoided modding Windows directly because of it. I don't think that's going to look right. So I was trying to make a flaming arrow, guys. And the orientation of the flame is not going to be relative to the arrow whatsoever. And it will look like poop. I think I need to use like a particle system in Unity or something to do it.
Why don't you turn the flame 90 degrees? Turn it to the right, and then it'll be fine. Because it's in line with the arrow. If it's traveling fast enough, it makes sense. Like, visually and... like.
Where's it do that? 180. There we go.
Do you want the flame to always be pointing up whatever direction the arrow's facing?
Right.
I think that way, the way you have it now is fine.
Right, I think having it like this is okay. Yeah, that'll work. Thank you for talking me down. Hey, Rubadub TV, thanks for the rating party. Awesome, man.
Whoa.
And hello, everyone. I'm trying to build a flaming arrow right at the moment. Hoping it doesn't turn into a flaming pile of something. Not convinced that it won't, though. Thank you. Let's see, so I guess I'll just plop this down here for fire. And can I put that prefab onto this prefab? Kind of nesting them. Ooh, you can. Cool. And then that drives... I need to go apply.
Those updates nuts.
It's huge.
Is there a way? There's got to be a way to pause it because it's actually like making the stream screw up. It's like making you pause just because of the update.
Sorry.
Damn, what kind of bandwidth you got going on there?
Not urban bandwidth. Put it that way. So it's like, I think the download's 15 megabits per second.
Jesus Christ.
Well, I said non-urban. So whatever 15? You pay for a certain amount of
thank you for the ball.
Megabits, we pay more.
Sorry, guys. Go ahead.
No.
Cheaper in the city, or in when you're closer to rural areas. You get higher download. That's how it is.
500 kilobytes actual throughput.
But how much do you pay for your 15 downstream?
We'll have to look here.
$50? I hope it's not more than 75 cents.
You're funny. Rural internet's expensive usually.
I mean, it makes sense. Like, I'm actually looking up the price, but it makes sense that it would be cheaper in the city because it's less. It's less. You know, the population density is smaller, and so they're using less.
It might not be cheaper, but it might be better value.
I get 500 download, 550 up.
How much you pay for that?
I think it's like $69 a month or something like that. Once I did a 2-year contract, it stays that price for the 2 years. At the end of it, it goes up to whatever their price is, which means I just go and say, hey, whatever Time Warner Cable is now, they changed their name. What's your deal?
Shit.
And I just go over there.
Mine's like $60. And I'm only getting like 300 down, 20 up, I think, for $60.
Yeah, we pay like, what's that? We pay just for the internet. Now, of course, there's also TV included, but we pay we would pay $34.99 for 15 megabits per second.
Damn. What a deal.
Say what?
What a deal.
Uh-huh.
Well, at least you don't pay that much. 30 bucks, 34.
Set
half as much as I pay.
Public set on fire.
So you pay $60 for how many?
I think it's either 200 or 300 downstream. I have to check right now.
Yeah, you see, if you want to get, I mean, like we could definitely go to 25, but there's beyond, you know, faster downloads. There's no point. But if we wanted 120 megabits per second, we would have to pay $150 a month.
And yeah. I got 600.
That's a ripoff.
Wait, what?
I got 600 downstream.
Yeah. Wish there was a way I could pause this update. It's 60% done, but I wish there was a way to pause it.
It actually automatically pauses the download once it's done.
That makes sense. It's good that it doesn't continue once it's done.
Windows should have like a peer-to-peer thing where you can seed with a Windows update from other clients.
Sounds like a good way to get a virus. Can you imagine?
No,
one system gets hacked and the entire internet goes down because everybody peer-to-peers off each other. You can set it up Chilify, if you are an admin for an IT at a corporation, you can basically override the download location. I've seen it done before. So instead of go to like windowsupdate.com, it goes to whatever your corporate download location is. Just a registry enter. So now we need a way to set things on fire.
What about peer-to-peer installation? So I install his Windows for him on my PC.
You could do that, but that's a different thing altogether. I've never seen an option for sharing updates with other users in the Windows settings. Oh, really? What you're talking about is like boot from LAN type stuff. You can do that too.
Maybe it means other users, as in like the actual accounts on Windows, like the users.
Could also be their way of saying,
users.
"Hey, we're going to steal your information because we're Windows users and we're stealing. You're sharing updates about yourself with us." So they like to do that.
What's the real downside of all the big companies knowing everything about you?
Depends who you ask. There's a certain degree of things for free you get from it, right? So I'm not 100% against it, but at the same time, I don't think it's important for Microsoft to know that I've got 2 kids and a wife. Why would they need to know that?
They don't think it's important either. That's why they don't collect that information.
What I bet they do think it's important, because if they know that, then they know approximately my age and potentially my income level and products they could sell me.
Well, there you go. You've just explained why it's important even for you. More relevant products.
But I don't necessarily want those products. They could have wrong
do.
information about me.
You do want them because they figured out that people your age and your demographic actually want them, which includes you.
Maybe I want to be a rebel, okay?
Well, they want to know that about you too, so they can give you the rebel products.
See, but they'll never know that.
Why not? Your
Why would they know
aversion
that?
to collect data, maybe, or to send data, might be the
Ooh.
flag that gets triggered.
Wouldn't that be just a big old kick in the crotch for everybody that's against everybody collecting information? The fact that you don't opt into it tells them something about you that they can use to market to you.
It probably does already.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
What's other uses in your own network? Yeah, I figured it'd be that. Delivery optimization. You can also enable it for over the internet too. Ooh, I wouldn't want to download Windows from some other sketchy person's computer.
I do. I want to download all my Windows updates up from Pirate Bay. Especially the ones that are like 50 gigs.
I'm gonna stop opening your GIFs on Discord then.
.gif.exe.
Okay, so we've got a way to set it on fire. Put it on this projectile damage class. For some crazy reason I did that.
Fire. You're gonna set the mobs on fire?
I'm gonna set the arrow on fire. And the arrow will set things on fire from that, not necessarily the mobs.
I wonder what in
Interesting
real
idea,
life it was like to get impaled by a flaming arrow versus a regular arrow. I feel like the flaming arrow might even be better because fires are easy enough to put out by just slapping them.
Unless
But,
it's like, napalm type stuff on it, right? That you can't really
But
get
surely
off. It's
you
sticky.
can still snuff it out, can't you?
Maybe.
I feel like you could because it just needs to be covered and then it stops burning. Doesn't matter what the igniting stuff.
Yeah.
What is it called? The fuel. Doesn't matter how insane the fuel is, as long as there's no access to oxygen, it's not going to burn.
Yeah, I was just gonna say unless there's an oxidizer in it, but back then they probably didn't have that.
So like a flaming arrow might actually save your life. It cauterizes the wound, you put out the flame and you're good to go. But not, I guess, if you're wearing already flammable stuff.
True,
might
and
not
I
be
imagine
able
the
to snuff it
flaming
out.
arrows are more for non-personnel. Those wooden barricades and stuff they have. And the fear factor.
I can't really imagine like an arrow that's on fire hitting a wooden wall and actually like catching the wall on fire. It's pretty hard to just light some stuff on fire. Like you could stand next to a wooden wall for like an hour with a lighter and you won't get anywhere.
Yep. There's also, they've shot on battlefields what might have tall grass. Light the tall grass on fire so nobody wants to cross that line. Yeah. Those type of things would have an impact. I wouldn't say it's necessarily gonna win a battle or a war by itself.
Yeah.
Just play. Wait, let's do this.
Like Molotov stuff. Molotov cocktails would be nice. Because that covers you in the fuel that's already on fire. There's really no good way of snuffing it out. But just the tip of the arrow being on fire is not a big deal.
This. Go dot. Do I really want to do this? Just for a test? No, I don't. I want to do it when I go through a thing that should light something on fire. And I don't have that thing built yet. So I want to shoot it through like a burning, not a torch, but like a lamp that's on the ground. Like in my desert area, there's one of those. And when you go through that, it catches it on fire, and then you can use that to light other things on fire. Coder that uses all man coding, style coding. I don't see that very often. What do you mean all man style coding? Don't know what that means.
All man. Just... No woman. Unladylike coding is what he's saying.
Oh. I just find it visually easier to say that this bracket is lined up with this bracket when they're on the same line like that. When they're on the same indentation point. That's the reason I do it. I need to like sit down one night and tell Visual Studio how I like my code formatted so it'll do it. I don't have to fiddle with it every time. Yes, Andrew's in that category of preferring it on the same line as the if statement.
Oh, the bracket, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but who cares about Andrew? That's really the crux of the whole thing.
Is there an option in this? I imagine there has to be. Text editor?
Or are you looking for a way to change the formatting?
Yeah.
There's a way.
New lines.
Sure.
New lines, yes! Let's see.
Found it.
Nothing about if statements though.
Tools, options. Wait, you went to tools, options, or?
Mm-hmm.
Because it was actually default set so that the bracket goes on the next line, and I actually changed it because of actually annoying.
Really? Because like when I start like this, if I just type if 1 equals 2, and then start my curly brackets, it goes like that and puts it all in that line.
Oh, by the way, I can't because
fine.
It's the Windows thing's still downloading. It says like the screen is black. So.
Gotcha.
You gotta do it in Morse code, and then he could see it.
I guess I could do it that way. I had to physically put the new line in.
But I get what you're saying. I'm looking for the setting right now because I went in there before. Yeah, it's under C# code style formatting, and then it should be new line. And then there's a whole bunch of checkbox, and I could show you my checkboxes.
They are all checked for me, every single one.
No, okay. Well, mine, basically, there's the 3. They've divided them into 3 sets.
Mm-hmm.
My first set are all unchecked. I don't know if. Yeah. I can just.
Maybe there's a. Right, and mine are all checked in all 3 sections, every single one of them. Maybe it's I need to allow it to format my code on save. That's what I want. So when I program in Eclipse, which is what I use to make the mod, basically I could write it however I want, and as soon as I hit save, it would drop that bracket down to a new line. It would split lines. It would do whatever I wanted it to do when I saved it. It automatically applied the formatting for me, so I didn't have to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I even had it do imports for me.
I could look for hiring someone who will do it for you if you send them the file.
It's not as fast though. That's what I liked about it, was the speed.
Why? Fine, we'll hire 2 people then.
But are they going to sit
Double
beside me?
speed.
You going to sit beside me?
Yeah, exactly. You don't even have to code. You can just lie on your bed with your eyes closed and you talk out loud and they'll code it for you.
I do talk a lot when I code.
And all coders talk with code. Kind of practice.
Sometimes I'll say the code faster than I can type it. Okay.
Speaking of good practice, what I do actually, if I type like if I'm creating a function or if statement or something, I'll like automatically, like as a like habit, when you type if you're typing your if statement, I automatically will type the left bracket, and usually in most IDEs, if you hit enter, it'll like auto-complete the brackets. And so when I first installed Visual Studio and I had the default settings, I would have the bracket on the same line like I usually have it now. But when I hit enter, it would take it down to the next line. It would always drive me nuts because it's like, oh, we don't want you to do it this way. We want you to do it our way. And it's like, no, your way is stupid. That is a waste of lines of code.
It's not a waste line. It does nothing for the compiler. Okay.
Well,
we'll have this.
Visually.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Compiler just ignores them.
When I first started learning coding, that's like, I would do it that way because it made sense. It helped me understand. But then I eventually got to a point where I was like, there's no point in doing it this way. I'll put on the next line. I'll put on the same line. And from then on, completely changed everything.
Uh-oh. The government found him.
Buddy's in trouble.
Are you torrenting again? God damn it. My 15 megabits
are bitten.
We're screwed.
That or it's Mike. Are you programming or not?
You're working on the game and you're not even streaming or missing out on potential new fans. Son of a gun. I now realize why Mike streams for him. The 15 meg. What's his upload? Like a 1 megabit.
But he's still sending it to Mike, right?
Yeah, I guess.
It works pretty good. I guess text on his screen isn't as bad for compression. That's basically what I want right there. Is that thing. And then it's going to need a fire component.
What is that thing? Oh, it's like a lantern thing?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of a good name for it.
A pit fire?
Yeah, a fire pit.
Barrel,
there you go.
Barrel fire?
2.5.
Those things have a name, though. I can't remember what it was. No, that's not right.
Okay.
Never.
Darn, I was hoping you'd actually find it, because I just called it a burnable, because I couldn't think of what it was called.
Cauldron? No.
Wait. 6.7, 0.65.
I think they're technically called fire pits.
Oh, there you go. That's probably it.
But I thought there was like a more specific term.
I'm gonna call it a fire pit because that's the best name I've heard. We're gonna add a script called fire pit. This better be the name of it because I'm gonna use it everywhere.
Well, first of all, I have to get some royalties for that.
They're all about the royalties. You are hereby decreed to be King Pineapple. There, your royalty.
A blaze, that's what it is. Jesus Christ, I found it.
Blaze.
Yes.
Hey, thank you for the follow, Mr. Blade Brown. Not to be confused with the Brown Blade.
Although if you search blaze on...
Hey, thank you for the follow, Lane Max. It's a follow, frenzy. Get yours while it's hot. Game object. Fire. And in start, we don't need to do anything. We'll set up Boolean value, private, serializable field. Bool is flame? Is on fire.
Fire pit.
Set. Public. Void set on fire. Go, and we'll say fire.setActive.
Now it's just installing.
Installing takes forever.
Goodbye, Andrew. When it's uninstalling, it's gonna force you to reboot, and the reboot's gonna be like forever long, as it was for me.
Don't worry, because you're not gonna be done installing for like an hour. I'm still not even close.
Yeah, it took a while.
Well, I'm on a solid state, so I should be good. I don't know.
It rebooted like 2 or 3 times for me. Some stupid reason.
You're not gonna be a solid state when they're done with you.
All I did was click on check for update, and then it just automatically goes here. Let's do all these things that you didn't ask for.
Oh, it did.
The crazy thing is, it's like you're updated, and you say check for update, and they're like, okay, fine, you weren't updated. We were lying. Here's the thing. Because mine said you're all good. Don't worry about it. And then I pressed check, and it was like, here, there's actually a massive update. God, this guy really wants the update. Fine, here you go. Jesus. We were comfortable just lying to you that it was updated all along. Until you asked.
Well, I'll be on. I'm already at 10, so it's gonna be.
I think it's interfering with your connection somehow.
It's not proportionate. 10% is only 1%.
What? Because I need to finish the little piece in my code before it shuts me out.
It did ask me if I want to reboot now or later. I was not to install. Private.
Reboot
So it's not going to be like
later. Click on later, just reboots. Anyways.
Projectile damage. PD equals get collision. Get component. Projectile damage.
What's going on here?
So for the flaming arrow, like, are you just gonna make it so that like, well, there's gonna be a sprite obviously, but how do you know for the game object itself, besides that sprite component, is there any other like official way of telling, oh, this is a fire arrow?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now.
Oh, okay. Because I
Assuming
always
I
stop,
did it right.
like, hold on 1 second, go AFK.
Crap, I didn't expose it. I'm gonna basically expose the method that says is flame. True or false? Void is bool is on fire. Return.
I'm back again.
So I'm setting a bool in the object that holds it, and a method that says is on fire.
Is on fire, or is on fire not?
Right.
Is or is on fire. Is or isn't is on fire is the question it's going to be asking itself.
If it is on fire, we're going to do this. That's what we're going to do. We're going to set fire. Set on fire.
If it isn't is on fire, then do that.
Okay. And we also need to check if we're on fire. If we're on fire...
Is we on fire? Or is we isn't on
If
fire?
PD dot is on fire by somebody else.
Find out why we're not on fire.
And then set us on fire.
Hey, guess what, guys? This is like turning into the ultimate coding thing, trying to listen to you guys say this as I'm typing this at the same time.
Okay, I'll lay off.
No, you're fine. I'm surprised I've gotten this far, though. If is on fires.
Accidentally types set pineapple on fire as a function call.
Burn, baby.
Dot function is on fire isn't on fire.
So, PD set on fire. Ta-da! So this fire pit will have a trigger on it, and then it's going to check to see if there's an arrow that goes into its collider, which is a trigger collider. And if it does, it's going to check if that arrow is on fire. If it is on fire, then it's going to set us on fire. If it's not on fire, then it's going to set the arrow on fire.
Wait, what about... Wait, if an arrow passes through the fire pit and it is on fire, it automatically sets the player on fire? Regardless of if it hits the player or not?
No, the arrow.
Oh.
If the arrow passes through the fire pit, the arrow gets lit. If the arrow is already lit and the fire pit's not, it'll light the fire pit.
Oh, I see, okay. Yeah.
So basically, you can take one lit fire pit, shoot through it into another lit fire pit, and it'll pass the fire from one to the other.
Wow.
It's kind of like in American... What's that fucking movie called?
Finding
American
Nemo?
Treasure or something?
National Treasure?
National Treasure. National Treasure, where he's down in the cave and he like takes his torch, he like touches it to these like ancient ashes, and it like sets the whole line of like stuff on fire, lights up the
Yeah,
place.
it's like a Rube Goldberg machine where everything just... I have a problem with all those like Indiana Jones movies and stuff where like the traps are still working and they're like strings and stuff, like you lift something and like a boulder comes out of nowhere. Like how was that thing, how did it, how is it possible that it's been like 1,000 years that it's just been the trigger or whatever? None of it has failed yet.
The vine rope hasn't been eaten or...
Because I mean, it was alien. They knew that guy was going to come there and take their crystal skull, so they set up traps
Ooh.
that they knew were going to survive the time test.
Time traveling aliens.
Yeah.
Time traveling aliens. Now we're back in TechStack's game. Now we're rolling.
I mean,
He was up until yesterday. He was planning on making the whole game about time travel. From my knowledge.
I mean, if you
Did
think
talk
about
about
it, we're
alternate
already
dimensions.
time traveling.
It was
If we
nano
weren't
pseudo
traveling
time
through
travel.
time, we'd be just still.
Time is traveling around me. I'm not going anywhere.
Okay.
Time's relative.
Also, is there really even time if we're all living in the Matrix?
Time is anonymous. Time is legion.
Is this space reality?
Is time on fire though? That's the check we have to perform.
Ignites everything.
Is or is not time on fire? Dot. Com.
That should be all I need.
Let's see it in action.
Go in there.
Show us.
I'm gonna show you it fail
Just
probably.
donate some bits if it works.
Woo. Just cleaned up the overworld, so let's dirty it up again by adding a bunch of test objects in here.
Wait, can I actually do this? Wait. No. No, I don't. Okay. I thought since I had Twitch Prime, they would give me bits, but I guess.
No, they just give you subscriptions that you can do. Okay, now we can actually see it. That was bug number 1, so duplicate it.
Bug number 1. Fixed.
Okay, and then this one will be on fire, and we'll simulate it being on fire.
It's gonna be is on fire.
That's right. Here goes everything. On fire.
Show us the magic.
Aha, I failed. Didn't do my scene right. There we go. Try again.
My stream is delayed, so I get spoilers in the Discord. If it worked or not.
Then I shall stay quiet about it. No spoilers for you. Okay, here we go. Got rid of the bad guy.
What?
Oh.
Did you hit it?
I got the second one. Now the only problem is the arrow doesn't look like it's on fire.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's hard to
Oh.
tell.
So 50% right.
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't see. I was waiting to see the flame on the actual arrow, and I completely missed the fact that the one pit ignited. Missed that.
Andrew, you gotta be taking notes. You gotta add that to your game. You gotta have these fire pits that you have to light with arrows.
That's a good.
Is or isn't on fire.
I mean, we have bows and arrows. I don't know if Mike should.
You guys have guns.
Yeah, we have guns. We have bow and arrows, crossbows.
Guns and bow and arrows and crossbows. Those are 3 different time periods that overlap very briefly.
Yeah. Well, this is the high fantasy.
High fantasy, how dare you? Unrealistic. Guns and bows and guns.
Well, I think it's
None of
called
them is on fire.
It was already active, so why didn't it come out on fire? That's the real question.
Has Sprite,
But it has a sprite.
or the Sprite was like disabled. Something disabled it.
Right, but
Maybe the-
what?
Was the arrow on fire but not visually on fire?
It was. That's how it lit the other one on fire. But it should have came out on looking like it was on fire even when it wasn't on fire because I didn't have it disabled. Like the flame should have been there 100% of the time. So let's do this. Let's run the game. Let's try it again, I guess. No, don't shoot me. Crap.
No, no.
Still not looking like it's on fire even though it's working. Killed him. That time it probably didn't go. Pause.
Maybe you should like shoot an arrow and then pause the game. Yep, and then right as you did it. See if it's what's going on.
I know. Order and layer. It's there. You can't see it. It's behind the ground.
Behind the ground, all along.
This order stuff's gonna get me
the quantum
so many times.
Yeah, we're not under the ground. We're behind. That's 4th dimension.
No, not the dimensions again.
This is pseudo nano quantum dimensions.
There we go. Flaming arrows.
Hey, God bless the Queen.
Actually.
Oh,
You're cutting out, Andrew. What'd you say?
I said actually epic.
Oh. I'm glad I asked you now.
what? That arrow's being kidnapped by the fence.
Yeah, it hits it. I need to make him stick around for a second. I need him to like...
Yeah, get impregnated. Make him just stop.
Right, I need to stop its force and just stay there for half a second, right?
And you probably also want a bull for like it being a dead arrow. So then,
Yeah, so something doesn't walk through it and gets hit every tick for damage.
You guys don't want to do like Minecraft where you can shoot them up at the thing above you and then break that block and they'll fall on you?
well, that's it. So maybe then the damage would be based on the velocity. So once the velocity hits 0, well, no, because then, well, I mean, this is. Wait a minute, you can't do this because there's no up in this game.
I know.
Also, you don't have any breaking block stuff technology. This isn't below the stone.
Maybe you'll have.
What
like,
is this game called? Do you have a name for this game yet?
Shh! Don't let people know it doesn't have a name!
I thought it was Zelda.
You didn't have to say that. You could have just come up with a name on the fly.
That's too much, like,
I
effort.
thought it was a Zelda Oblivion mix-up. Oh, decided it all.
Oblivion? What's that? I don't know that one.
You could call it Mummy, the Mummy Scorpion game. There's
Wasn't?
no trademark infringement there.
I mean, I've never played it, but I'm pretty sure Oblivion was some like game that came before. What's that fucking other game that I've never played?
Skyrim.
Skyrim. I was about to say Skycraft. Like, what the?
I had it working. I added a collider to it and just broke it. Awesome. And this is not going to work at all.
Now is on fire isn't working, so it is on firing.
It's not even running that code. Gotta put it down here. Box collider, and I gotta say low colliders. No, only this object.
Twitch is the worst. What
Twitch
have I
should
been
be.
doing? For the last, do you have like an uptime thing or anything?
Uh-oh.
2
Windows wants me
hours.
to update.
3 minutes.
30 minutes?
2 hours and 23 minutes.
So for 2 hours and 30 minutes, I've just been looking at someone making a game and not working on my game.
You're
What
welcome.
is the point? What is the point in all of this?
Okay,
At least
Windows
I
wants
got
me to update,
dark
so
mode.
I'm gonna see what the. it's
Wait,
gonna
you're done
do.
installing it already?
Well, it's gonna. I has to restart now. Start.
Mine's at 94. How the hell did you up? I was installing like 30 minutes before you were.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm on SSD. I don't know.
I'm on SSD2. What do you think this is? A joke? You
Well,
think this is a big joke?
I think I'm gonna hit this button.
Bye, Andrew. For at least 10 minutes. Took forever to install. I have an SSD too. It's an old one, but I have one.
I don't even have an SSD. I just have a bunch of 3.0 USB drives all
Daisy chained together.
cable together. Yeah, exactly. And it's like done with actual solder. They're just all soldered together. A big sphere of USB sticks. And it's hanging from my ceiling.
Hang me your ceiling.
Yeah. And there's a little Bluetooth adapter in there, and it's transferring all the files by Bluetooth directly to my CPU. Custom thing.
Gosh, how do you spell extinguish? E-X-T-I-E.
How are you going to extinguish the arrows game design wise?
I probably won't.
They hit something? Oh.
So I'm making this extinguish method so that if I uncheck that box, it isn't lit in the fire pit. It disables the fire object, so I don't have to do both. Check both boxes. Okay, so I need to do that. So say extinguish. So on start, it's gonna look to see if it's on fire. If it is on fire. Beep. Boop. There he goes. That took a long time. So he's just now getting to the point where his computer's shutting out all the applications.
Well, I don't think so, actually. Because I think Discord waits for a timeout or something. Like, even if you close Discord, it doesn't remove the user from the channel. Because I've been in the waiting to log in, like asking me for my computer password, and I can hear people, like I can communicate to people in Discord, even though I haven't logged in yet. It's very strange. Oh, do you have a Netflix account, by the way?
Yeah.
There's an interesting glitch with the Netflix right now, a bug that if you have it open in any capacity, your internet speed gets like cut in half. Even if you're not doing anything, it's just open as a tab.
Is that because they're using bandwidth?
No idea why. I haven't investigated, but I've tested. Like, we could be talking in Discord right now, and you could open up Netflix, and I'll tell you exactly when you open, as long as I can hear you talking, because I'll hear you start lagging. And the same with me. It might not be applicable to all users. I don't know how it works, but for like the 5 or 6 people that I chill in Discord with normally, it does the same thing for all of us, and we're all in different locations.
That's
US West, US Central, US East.
Really weird.
Yeah, it must be like seeding info or something.
Oh, so I do know, at least on Android devices, they'll pre-cache shows that it thinks you're going to watch, so that as soon as you click on the show, it starts playing it. There's no delay, because it's already downloaded a portion of it.
Yeah, so I think maybe on the PC it pre-caches every show they have.
Could.
Sounds like a great idea.
Sounds like a botnet. They pre-cache it and then serve it up to your neighbors. I seen something about how Netflix actually is built. Basically, they'll go to your ISP and say, hey, we're the #1 cause of, or #1 internet bandwidth usage. Here, have this server sitting inside your network in your data center so that you don't have to pay for your users to watch Netflix. And then they send them a hard drive like every month of all the new shows. They just install it in the system.
Pretty cool.
So they basically have distributed their entire network to all the ISP's central offices. So from my house to my ISP's office is all the further it has to go for Netflix traffic. It doesn't actually have to go out over the broader internet.
Sounds very fancy. Doesn't apply to Andrew though, because he gets his internet from a long chain of
carrier pigeons.
Yeah, exactly.
So why did adding an additional collider that is on a layer that is ignored by the...
Oh, I gotta restart. Let's see what happens.
Okay.
I'll be back and I'll be dark.
Bye! Who knows if I'll still be streaming if it takes too long. Bye! Why wouldn't it work? It works in reverse now. That's the weirdest part of it. Like, why did it reverse it? So, hey, Jerixy. Thanks for the follow. Hopefully I said your name right. So the projectile, if it's not null, right? So we've got a projectile that came through. If it's on fire, and this object, this fire pit, is not on fire, then we're going to set ourselves on fire. Right, and we do that by setting this to true and setting our variable to true for the next arrow that comes through, basically. Then, if the fire or the arrow is on fire, we're doing all that. If it's not on fire, but we're on fire, so the fire pit's on fire, we're going to set the arrow on fire. So the arrow's not on fire, but the fire pit is. It should set it on fire. How did that break things? Yeah, it's just setting whatever this is to this. We're setting that to true. Okay, maybe we've got a miscommunication in our fire pits here. So which fire pit is this? This one is here, and it says it is on fire, but it is not. That is the issue. So we say that one is on fire. And this one says it is on fire, but it is not. So did we reverse in our start? We're saying extinguish. If it is on fire, we're extinguishing. If it is not on fire, we're extinguishing. That should be it. Put the fire out. it's supposed to be on fire. There we go. Perfect. He's gonna kill me. That bow animation needs sped up. But just for me, not him. Okay, so we got this thing working. That's what I was after. So that was actually on my Trello board. That's why I went ahead and did that one, guys. So where is it? Flaming arrows. Done. I think that's going to take a while to code. Event that fires when the last monster in the room is killed. That's related to this. Currency, we've got the coin already. I think we might be good for the night, guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find someone else that we can raid. Is there anyone from my raiding list that's already streaming? Let's see. I do need to get the kids to bed. It's way past time. And while I'm looking for this, thank you guys for the follows tonight. That was awesome to have that many. Appreciate it. We try and stream about every day, right? I can't guarantee I'll stream every single day, but I stream Monday through Fridays around 8 o'clock, sometimes a little earlier, sometimes a little later. And on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, I will often start later in the evening on Friday and Saturday and go very, very late in the night on to the early hours in the morning sometimes. And Saturday and Sunday, I'll stream most of the day where I can. Hours vary. The best way to know when I'm going to stream is to follow my Discord. So there's a Discord link down below. I think if you do this Discord, it gives you. There you go. I see Leland is streaming. Who else we got though? So let's see if anybody's doing Unity. Space pirate game. Coding guns and having fun. Let's see what he's got on a screen here before we jump in. It's just a splash screen. Nope, you're not streaming actually, dude. I was gonna drop 13 people on you. Come on. Who else is doing Unity? Where is it on the screen? Oh, it's me. Haha. Let's try this. We will raid a new person tonight, guys. They've already got quite a few people following, so have fun. Good night, everybody. I'm gonna kill my music here too while the raid queues up. Tell them I said hi. Bye.